In the vast untamed wilderness of Australia, a chilling legend stirs the air. For centuries, whispers of a terrifying creature have echoed through the forests and mountains, a creature both feared and revered, known as the Yowie. Imagine you're alone in the heart of the Australian bush, and you hear it, the unmistakable sound of something large and unseen. You feel the weight of its gaze upon you. What if the legends are true? What if the Yowie is real? From ancient Aboriginal lore to modern-day encounters, the Yowie has left an indelible mark on Australia's folklore and continues to be a source of fascination and fear. But this is not just a tale of myth and legend. Today, we delve into documented encounters, terrifying experiences, and the relentless pursuit of the truth. Join us as we embark on a journey deep into the Australian outback, where the line between myth and reality blurs, and the unknown lurks just beyond the shadows. This is not just a story. This is an exploration into the heart of mystery. Welcome to the world of the Yowie. Our journey begins in the late 18th century, when the first whispers of this creature began to reach the ears of curious settlers. Our journey into the realm of the Yowie begins in the late 18th century, a time when Australia was a vast, largely unexplored wilderness. The Aboriginal tribes, who had called this land home for thousands of years, spoke in hushed tones of a creature both feared and revered. They knew it as the Yowie, a towering, hairy humanoid that roamed the deep forests and rugged mountains. In 1804, explorer John Pinkerton chronicled these tales in his seminal work, Modern Geography. Pinkerton wrote of another tribe of people, covered in hair with flat noses and sunken eyes, coexisting with the Aboriginal peoples. These descriptions were eerily similar to the ancient stories of the Yowie passed down through generations. As European settlers began to carve out their existence in this new and daunting land, they too began to encounter the Yowie. One of the earliest documented sightings occurred in 1789. A group of loggers, toiling away in the dense bush, reported seeing an enormous ape-like beast standing on a hillside, twice the size of a normal man. This creature, they claimed, watched them with an unsettling intelligence before melting back into the forest. These early encounters were more than mere curiosities. They were deeply unsettling. The settlers, already grappling with the harsh realities of their new environment, now had to contend with the possibility of a mysterious, potentially dangerous creature lurking in the shadows. From these initial reports, the legend of the Yowie began to grow. Each new sighting added layers to the myth, transforming it from a whispered tale among the Aboriginal tribes to a chilling reality for the settlers who ventured into the untamed heart of Australia. The Yowie was no longer just a story. It was a part of the landscape, as real and tangible as the land itself. In the years that followed, sightings of the Yowie continued to be reported across Australia. Each encounter, whether fleeting or prolonged, added to the tapestry of this enduring legend. As we delve deeper into the history and the mystery of the Yowie, we begin to understand that this is not just a tale of an elusive creature. It is a story of a land, its people, and the enduring mystery that binds them together. As the 19th century unfolded, the legend of the Yowie continued to grow, fueled by a series of startling and often terrifying encounters. These stories, passed down through generations, paint a vivid picture of a creature that seemed to dwell on the fringes of both the wilderness and human consciousness. In 1904, we find ourselves near the idyllic coastal town of Byron Bay. It is here that Mrs. Sarah Radcliffe recounted a harrowing tale from her youth. Her father, a rugged frontiersman, was riding through the dense bush on horseback. Suddenly, his horse reared in terror. Looking back, he saw it, a big, hairy man with no neck, standing menacingly on a pile of stones. The creature's eyes bore into him, and as he spurred his horse into a desperate gallop, the beast gave chase. Though he managed to escape, the encounter left him shaken to his core. The following year, a similar story emerged from the same region. 3 brothers, skilled horsemen, were riding through the bush when they were ambushed by a towering 7-foot-tall Yowie. The creature leapt onto one of the horses, knocking its rider to the ground. The beast then retreated into the wilderness, leaving behind a scene of chaos and fear. These encounters were not isolated. They were part of a growing tapestry of Yowie sightings that spanned the Australian continent. During the 1950s, the timber-rich Marlin Scrub near Ravenshoe, Queensland, became the backdrop for another spine-chilling encounter. A father and his 2 sons, hardened timber workers, had set up camp near a creek. As dusk fell, one of the sons went down to the creek to wash up. In the dim light, he heard a noise and called out, thinking it was his father. But what stepped out of the creek was no man. Illuminated by his carbide lamp, he saw a large, dark, hairy figure climbing the far bank. Panicked, he ran back to camp, where they found enormous humanoid tracks in the mud. The encounter was so unnerving that the men abandoned their camp the next morning and swore never to return. These early encounters depict a creature that is both curious and fearsome, capable of inspiring both awe and terror. As the settlers ventured deeper into the Australian wilderness, they became acutely aware that they were not alone. The Yowie, a creature of myth and mystery, was very much a part of their new reality. Each sighting, each fleeting glimpse, added to the growing legend, a legend that would continue to haunt the collective imagination of Australia for generations to come. These stories, etched into the annals of Australian folklore, serve as a testament to the enduring mystery of the Yowie. They remind us that the wilderness holds secrets beyond our understanding, waiting for those brave enough to venture into its depths. As we continue our journey, we will see that these early encounters were just the beginning. The Yowie, it seems, has many more tales to tell. As we journey further into the heart of the Yowie legend, we encounter stories that are not just eerie, but outright terrifying. The Yowie, often described as a gentle giant, sometimes reveals a darker, more violent side. These encounters, etched in the annals of Australian folklore, depict a creature capable of sudden and brutal aggression. In the mid-20th century, the construction of the Kumbalumba Dam near Ravenshoe brought with it a series of chilling incidents. Among the workers was an Indigenous ranger, respected for his knowledge of the land. One day, while inspecting the site, he was approached by two Italian men, pale and visibly shaken. They told him of an attack by what they called the Milan monster. Their pig dogs had been savagely killed, their heads torn clean off. The ranger, skeptical but curious, followed their path and found the gruesome remains. The sight was enough to convince him that something powerful and deadly was lurking in the area. In another frightening episode from the same period, two men were fishing at Turuka in the early hours of the morning. They were suddenly confronted by a strange humanoid figure lurking in the water. As they approached, it lunged at them with a ferocity that sent them scrambling for their lives. The men described the creature as making bizarre, gurgling noises, adding a surreal and horrifying element to their ordeal. Further adding to the terror were reports from timber cutters working about 70 kilometers from Lismore. These men were seasoned outdoorsmen, yet their encounters with the Yowie left them rattled. They spoke of a towering, 8-foot-tall hairy creature that would hurl stones and sticks at their camp, forcing them to flee. The relentless harassment culminated in them abandoning their work site, unwilling to risk further encounters. Perhaps the most harrowing of these violent encounters occurred in Kempsey, New South Wales, involving a man named George Gray. As he slept on his rural property, he was suddenly attacked by a creature that defied belief. Gray awoke to find a hairy, ape-like being on top of him, pressing the air from his lungs. In a desperate struggle, he fought to free himself, describing the creature's skin as greasy and slippery, its short arms incredibly strong. The battle was intense, with Gray using every ounce of his strength to fend off the beast. After a harrowing 10-minute struggle, the creature relented and fled, leaving Gray exhausted and traumatized. His description of the attacker, dirty gray hair, webbed toes, and a brutish appearance, adds a vivid and terrifying detail to the legend of the Yowie. These violent encounters paint a picture of a creature that is not just a myth, but a real and formidable presence in the Australian wilderness. They remind us that the Yowie, while often elusive and shy, can become a force of nature when provoked. Each story adds to the rich tapestry of encounters, making the legend of the Yowie one of the most enduring and intriguing in Australian folklore. As we move forward, we will explore more modern-day sightings and delve deeper into the mystery of the Yowie, seeking to understand this enigmatic creature that continues to captivate and terrify those who venture into its domain. The legend of the Yowie is not confined to the dusty pages of history. Even in our modern age, encounters with this mysterious creature continue to send shivers down the spines of those who experience them. These recent sightings remind us that the Australian wilderness still holds secrets waiting to be uncovered. In 2014, the quiet T-Bar region of Wide Bay, Queensland, became the scene of a night of terror for a couple camping by the roadside. Romney and his girlfriend, Katrina, had settled in for a peaceful evening when they heard a series of loud howling noises in the distance. As the night deepened, their campervan began to shake violently. The sound of their camp table and BBQ crashing to the ground outside filled them with dread. Strange vocalizations, a mix of monkey-like sounds and human grunting, echoed through the darkness. Frozen with fear, they listened to the heavy footsteps circling their van, convinced they were being watched by an unseen menace. The ordeal only ended when a passing vehicle scared off whatever was out there, leaving the couple shaken and desperate to leave. 4 years later, in 2018, a lone woman driving through Mount Jerusalem National Park had an encounter that would haunt her. After making an impromptu stop on a secluded dirt road, she heard rustling and growling from the bushes. Armed with a cricket bat, she tried to identify the source, only to find herself face to face with a towering, hairy figure. The creature, with its glowing eyes and terrible smell, stood before her, its massive form illuminated by her high beams. It was no man in a suit. It was something far more primal. The woman's terrified flight back to her car and her frantic escape left her convinced she had encountered the Yowie. In 2019, a truck driver on the Gold Coast hinterland had a midday encounter that defied belief. As he drove along a bushy track, a huge hairy bipedal creature stepped onto the road, forcing him to slam on his brakes. The Yowie, standing over 10 feet tall, thumped on the hood of his truck, rocking the vehicle violently before retreating into the forest. The driver, his heart pounding, could scarcely believe what he had seen. The encounter left him sleepless and haunted by the memory of the beast's ominous gaze. That same year, a family in Currumbin Valley, Gold Coast, was driven from their home by a series of disturbing events. It began with loud footsteps in the bush and sightings of a massive, hairy creature near their house. Stones and other objects were hurled at their home, and they found large footprints around their property. The culmination of these terrifying incidents forced the family to abandon their residence, fearing for their safety. In another chilling story from 2019, a single mother in Tarzali, Queensland, recounted the terror that plagued her family. Rocks thrown onto their roof at night, persistent feelings of being watched, and the sight of a pitch-black hairy figure in their flashlight beam convinced them that something sinister was at play. Thumping on the walls and demonic noises in the night drove them to move out within 10 months. These modern-day encounters with the Yowie are a stark reminder that some legends refuse to die. They persist, lurking in the shadows of our understanding, challenging our perception of the world. The Yowie remains an enigma, a creature that walks the line between myth and reality, leaving those who encounter it forever changed. As we continue our exploration, as we delve deeper into the heart of the Yowie legend, we must confront the theories and speculations that surround this enigmatic creature. Are we dealing with a relic from a bygone era, a species yet to be classified, or perhaps something altogether more mysterious? Cryptozoologists suggest the Yowie could be a surviving remnant of Gigantopithecus, a giant ape believed to have roamed the Earth over 100,000 years ago. This theory posits that the dense Australian wilderness could harbor these elusive beings, far from prying eyes and modern civilization. Others propose a more supernatural explanation. Aboriginal lore speaks of the Yowie as a spirit being, a guardian of the land with powers that transcend our understanding. This perspective sees the Yowie not just as a physical entity, but as a bridge between the natural and the spiritual world, capable of appearing and disappearing at will. Skeptics, of course, argue that the Yowie is nothing more than a myth, born from the collective imagination and fears of those living in isolated, untamed landscapes. They attribute sightings to misidentifications, hoaxes, or the powerful influence of cultural stories passed down through generations. Yet, the consistency and detail in the accounts from across the ages compel us to consider, what if there is some truth to these stories? Whether it is an undiscovered species, a spirit of the wilderness, or a figment of our imagination, the Yowie continues to captivate and mystify. As we continue our journey into the unknown, we are reminded that the world is full of mysteries waiting to be uncovered. The legend of the Yowie, with its blend of folklore and possible reality, invites us to keep an open mind and a curious heart, ever ready to explore the secrets that lie hidden in the shadows of our world. As our journey through the haunting legend of the Yowie draws to a close, we are left with more questions than answers. This creature, shrouded in mystery and steeped in folklore, continues to elude definitive explanation. From ancient Aboriginal tales to modern-day encounters, The Yowie stands as a testament to the enduring mysteries of our world. Whether it is a remnant of a bygone era, a guardian spirit of the wilderness, or simply a product of human imagination, the Yowie captivates us with its blend of fear and fascination. Its legend invites us to ponder the unknown and to embrace the wonder that comes with exploring the uncharted corners of our planet. Thank you for joining us on this thrilling expedition into the heart of the Australian wilderness. Your curiosity and support make these explorations possible. I personally have a deep love for Bigfoot stories, and the legend of the Yowie is a fascinating part of that lore. Inspired by this passion, I've created this two-part series to share the captivating tales and theories surrounding this enigmatic creature. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more adventures into the unknown. Until next time, stay curious and keep exploring.